The crown here and the tabatiers held a particular fascination for a certain artist named Paul Falk. In 1952, he scaled over the castle wall, saw the iron window grid and broke in. Taking many of the valuables, he reduced them into smaller pieces and sold them on the black market, all except for the crown. During his court appearance, he stated that breaking the crown would bring bad luck. Even Paul Falk remained in awe of its power. The Reichsapfel alone contains 18 jewels. The 3 tabatiers have since been restored by the Pforzheimer Goldsmith School. Frederick the Great was not only a composer but also a masterly flutist. His travel flute here has been donated by a Swiss doctor, Professor Niehans. Niehans is the founder of fresh cell therapy and a famous hormone researcher. By the way, he was a descendant of Kaiser Frederick III. This uniform shows how small Frederick the Great was in reality. In the War of 7 Years, 2 horses had already been shot under his body, and he looked for death. A 3rd bullet was deterred from its deadly course by Frederick's snuff box, which he carried faithfully in his breast pocket. Later, he would have the bullet affixed onto the box as an ironic reminder. Frederick the Great had survived to reign 27 years longer. This painting of Frederick by Adolf Menzel is called The Petition. Not always holding court, the 18th century royal often went out to make himself accessible to his subjects. Frederick the Great, king of contradictions, poet and warrior, philosopher and king, general and flutist. Also belonging to the most beloved personalities of the period was the Prussian Queen Louise. She lived only 34 years from 1776 to 1810 and was the mother of William IV, restorator of this castle. Here she is in the uniform of the Light Brigade regiments of the Ansbach Bayreuther Dragoner. This silver embroidered court train is probably what Louise wore for her famous meeting with Napoleon in 1807 at Tilsit. Understandably, she tried to prevent the Prussians from further consequences of the war. Stüler's true Gothic design remains unaltered in this evangelical Christ chapel. Noteworthy are the typical 19th century wrought iron works in the furnishings: altar cross, lectern, pulpit, or the 7-armed light stand. It's curious, but Frederick the Great has never been here on his home castle, nor has he been his father, Frederick William I. When in 1945 the Soviet troops approached the Potsdam region, both of the coffins were brought into one of the mines near Bernterode in the Harz Mountains.
There the coffins were found by a special command force of the US Army. Loaded onto a GMC truck and driven to Marburg. After a lot of bureaucratic indecisiveness, the caskets were buried next to the Elizabethan church. In 1950, Prince Louis Ferdinand decided to bring the two kings to their ancestral home. The Americans requested this be done at dawn or at early morning so as not to attract public attention. The prince then promised to return the caskets to Potsdam once the two Germanys were reunited.
In the summer of 1991, this became a reality.
At the burial ceremony, a ZDF reporter asked Prince Meinrad whether his attendance was indeed voluntary. The prince responded, yes, that was self-evident. The reporter then pointedly asked whether, as a normal German citizen, he would also attend voluntarily. The prince responded, it would be the same. Finally, the reporter forced the question as to whether the Hohenzollerns intended to restore the monarchy. Meinrad calmly answered, no, not at all. They would remain as they are.
After 200 years, the last wish of Frederick the Great could finally be fulfilled. A simple resting place next to his beloved greyhounds.
And so another chapter of post-war history comes to an end.
Under the Christian chapel is the Orthodox chapel, which was made for Princess Kira, the late wife of Prince Louis Ferdinand, a niece of the Tsar. And so we find that the Hohenzollern is the only castle which can claim three denominations of Christianity under one roof, a symbol of religious tolerance.
The Hohenzollerns and the Prussians are forever linked with the castle and will always make this their home. This private room belongs to Prince Louis Ferdinand and his family. As the head of the Prussian house, he brings to life and actualizes the resident castle of our line. Together with his son Michael, a tradition is carried on. Michael is in the Markgraf Tower, the archives of the leading line as it is known. It holds both a library and a photo archive. The comprehensive collections contain the war diaries of Wilhelm II, as well as the unknown drawings of Emperor Wilhelm IV. The photo archive possesses many rare photographs, including some of Queen Victoria. This well-maintained, extensive collection of German history is used by schools, students, journalists, and authors. Here at the castle is a place where nature and the history of the House of Hohenzollern remain in unified harmony.
Der hier Forstdirektor war Württemberger, den mussten sie im Güllenfass von hier runter transportieren auf die württembergische Seite zurück. Der muss ganz schön gestunken haben, der Mann, weiß das. Und deswegen heißt dieses Tal das
Ja, genau. Und die Amerikaner waren eben ganz begeistert davon. Sie sagen, where is the killer? They say the killer was last century. Das ist also vorbei.
These are the tales from the mountain and its castle.